In a small, quaint town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a young woman named Lily. She had always been intrigued by the paranormal, and she had a particular fascination with sleep paralysis. Little did she know that her curiosity would lead her down a path of terror she could never have imagined. One night, as the moon hung low in the sky, Lily drifted off to sleep in her cozy bedroom. But her slumber was far from peaceful. She soon found herself trapped in that dreaded state of sleep paralysis, unable to move or speak. As her eyes darted around the room in fear, a sinister presence began to manifest itself. It started as a subtle shadow in the corner, but it quickly grew into a nightmarish figure. This specter was unlike anything Lily had ever seen, with elongated limbs and a faceless, contorted visage. The room grew icy cold, and Lily could see her breath form in frosty puffs in the air. Panic coursed through her veins as the figure drew nearer, its movements hauntingly graceful. It seemed to glide effortlessly toward her immobilized form. Lily desperately tried to scream, to wake herself from this nightmare, but her voice was silenced by the relentless grip of sleep paralysis. Tears welled in her eyes as the figure loomed over her, its form casting a long, chilling shadow across her bed. As the figure leaned in closer, Lily could feel its cold, unnatural breath on her face. It whispered in a voice that sent shivers down her spine. "You are mine now, forever trapped in this darkness." Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a sudden and unexpected surge of warmth enveloped Lily. She felt a gentle touch on her hand, as if someone were trying to pull her from the abyss. It was her grandmother's voice, soft and comforting, whispering an incantation passed down through generations. With immense effort, Lily managed to regain control of her body. She willed herself to move, to break free from the paralysis that had held her captive. Slowly but surely, she began to regain mobility, inching her fingers and toes. The room's temperature returned to normal, and the nightmarish figure dissipated into thin air, leaving Lily gasping for breath. She turned on the lights and clutched her grandmother's old pendant, a family heirloom that had always brought her comfort. Lily knew that she had experienced something truly otherworldly, something beyond the realm of mere dreams. She had heard her grandmother's voice, felt her presence, and it had saved her from the malevolent entity that had tried to claim her. Over the following weeks, Lily delved deeper into her family's history, uncovering a legacy of paranormal encounters and ancient rituals. She learned that her grandmother had been a powerful psychic, and the pendant she now treasured was a source of protection against malevolent spirits. Determined to face her fears and harness her newfound knowledge, Lily embarked on a quest to confront the entity that had terrorized her. Armed with the wisdom of her ancestors, she set up a series of rituals to cleanse her home and protect herself from further attacks. As the weeks passed, the entity's visits grew less frequent and less intense. Lily's newfound strength and the protective rituals she had put in place had successfully warded off the malevolent presence. One night, as she lay in bed, she felt a subtle, comforting presence beside her. It was her grandmother, smiling down at her with love and pride. Lily knew that her grandmother's spirit would always be with her, guiding and protecting her from the shadows that lurked in the darkness. Lily's fascination with sleep paralysis had transformed into a deep respect for the spiritual world. She had faced her darkest fears and emerged stronger, armed with the knowledge and wisdom passed down through generations. As she drifted off to sleep each night, she did so with a newfound sense of peace, knowing that she had conquered the terrors that had once plagued her nights. As the clock struck midnight, Emily found herself in an eerie state between sleep and wakefulness. She lay in her dimly lit bedroom, unable to move a muscle. Panic surged through her as she realized she was experiencing sleep paralysis once again. In the corner of her room, a shadowy figure began to materialize. Its presence sent a chill down Emily's spine. She tried to scream, but her voice was silenced by the grip of sleep paralysis. The figure drew closer, its its menacing silhouette growing more distinct with every passing moment. Emily's heart raced as she felt an oppressive weight on her chest, making it difficult to breathe. The room grew colder, and she could see her breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. The figure now looming over her had hollow, soulless eyes that seemed to pierce through her very essence. Terrified, Emily tried to muster every ounce of her willpower to break free from the paralysis. With a tremendous effort, she managed to twitch her fingers. Inch by inch, her body slowly regained control. As soon as she could move, she bolted upright in bed, gasping for air. The room returned to its normal state, devoid of the sinister presence that had tormented her moments ago. Emily was shaken, her heart still racing, but she knew it was just another episode of sleep paralysis. She turned on the lights and stayed awake for the rest of the night, dreading the inevitable return of the shadowy figure. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's life became a blur of anxiety and exhaustion. She feared going to bed each night, knowing that the malevolent entity might return. She consulted doctors, therapists, and even paranormal experts, but no one could provide a definitive solution. One evening, as Emily reluctantly settled into bed, she noticed a worn-out journal tucked away in her bedside drawer. It was her grandmother's journal, filled with tales of folklore and remedies for various ailments. Emily had always considered it a collection of superstitions, but in her desperation, she decided to give it a try. One entry caught her attention, an old remedy for warding off malevolent spirits during sleep paralysis. It involved burning sage and reciting an incantation passed down through generations. Skeptical yet hopeful, Emily gathered the necessary ingredients and prepared to confront her tormentor. That night, as the clock neared midnight, Emily lay in bed, determined to face her fears. As the shadowy figure materialized in the corner once again, she ignited the sage and began to chant the incantation. The room filled with a sweet, smoky aroma, and the figure seemed to recoil. Emily continued the ritual, her voice growing stronger with each repetition. The figure, now writhing in agony, began to retreat. It let out an unearthly wail, and the room seemed to brighten as if repelling the darkness. Finally, with a final incantation, Emily banished the entity completely. It dissolved into the night, leaving her room bathed in a serene, comforting light. Emily had conquered her tormentor, and for the first time in months, she felt a sense of peace. Over time, the sleep paralysis episodes grew less frequent until they ceased altogether. Emily's newfound strength and the age-old remedy had saved her from the clutches of the malevolent figure that had haunted her nights. She knew that the power of belief, even in the face of the unknown, had given her control over her own mind and banished the darkness that had once imprisoned her. In the remote countryside, nestled far away from the hustle and bustle of city life, lived a man named Daniel. He had always been drawn to the mysteries of the night and the unexplained, but he had never encountered anything as chilling as the events that would soon unfold. One stormy night, as rain battered against his old farmhouse, Daniel retired to his bedroom. The rhythmic patter of raindrops on the windowpane created a soothing lullaby, and he soon drifted into slumber. Little did he know that this night would be unlike any other. As the clock struck midnight, Daniel found himself trapped in a state of paralysis, unable to move or cry out for help. Panic surged through him as he realized the gravity of his situation. He was caught in the grip of sleep paralysis, and he could feel an ominous presence lurking in the darkness. In the corner of the room, a shapeless shadow began to take form. It twisted and contorted, its movements unsettlingly fluid. The room grew colder, and Daniel's breath formed icy clouds in the frigid air. The shadowy figure drew closer, its presence oppressive and suffocating. Daniel's heart raced as he desperately tried to break free from the paralysis, but his body remained unresponsive. The figure loomed over him, its form shifting and changing, as if it were a manifestation of his deepest fears. In a voice that seemed to seep into his very soul, the figure whispered, I've been waiting for you, Daniel. I know your darkest secrets. Daniel's mind raced as he struggled to regain control of his body. Fear clawed at him, threatening to consume his sanity. He couldn't let this malevolent presence delve into the depths of his mind. With a surge of determination, Daniel focused every ounce of his willpower on moving a single finger. It twitched, a small victory in the battle against his paralysis. He continued to exert himself, inch by agonizing inch, until finally he could move his entire hand. With newfound mobility, he reached for the old lantern on his bedside table and fumbled to light it. The room was bathed in a warm, flickering glow, and the figure recoiled from the light, its inky form dissipating. But the shadowy entity was relentless. It returned, its dark tendrils snaking towards Daniel once more. It whispered promises of eternal torment and despair, threatening to consume him entirely.